Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Monday, March 9th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't come and checked out our website here at DFSCheatSheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So what up, Jeremy? How you doing out there, bro?
It's Monday, man. It's like a fucking Monday too, and this is a three-game slate. Mark my words. People in Discord are talking about it too and asking about it. This is not a cash game slate. This is, for one, it's 3 games, and 2, it's Chalk City.
Yeah, for sure. And Kupo out. We already know what that means. I mean, it's a pretty easy slate for sure. Yeah, but Monday we got to still try to make some money today. So I'm definitely jump in, talk to this game. Pretty exciting. You got the Raptors on the slate. Went and checked them out yesterday. Raptors against the Kings. It was a very fun game. It was exciting to see Lowry and them. Got the win out there in Sacramento. So yeah, man, let's jump in and talk some basketball. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Cool. First game we're going to start with, we got Charlotte going into Atlanta to face the Hawks.
And I think that this is the first place to be contrarian, is to take the Charlotte side of things. I just think that if you look at over the last couple of weeks as far as the DVP standpoint goes and what teams are giving up, Atlanta is actually giving up their – if you look at what FanDuel and Draftkings says as far as the little numbers that they put on, Atlanta looks like they're a pretty decent team. But over the last couple of weeks, to the point guard position, the shooting guard position, the small forward position, they're giving up a lot of points to those positions from a DVP standpoint. And you have to like the fact that you have good pricing here in Terry Rozier at 5,900, Devontae Graham at 6,100, and Miles Bridges at 5,700. We know that with Malik Monk out for the season, there's been a couple of guys that have taken advantage of that. Did you know – let me ask you a question. Did you know that there's twin brothers on this team?
On what team? On Charlotte? I didn't know that, no.
So Caleb Martin is listed as a small forward, and Cody Martin is a shooting guard. And I don't know how many people realize they're they're twin brothers playing on the same team. But Cody Martin and Caleb Martin, they're two different guys. Both of them are getting run right now. Caleb Martin is more of a dart GVP play that you could look at on this particular slate. But Cody Martin has been in play. And Miles Bridges has gotten a lot of extra usage out of that Malik Monk injury as well. The center position, look, this thing continues to be a mess. It's something that you and I have talked about all season long with the Charlotte Hornets, whether it's Zeller or Biyombo or Willie Hernan-Gomez. Sometimes one of them starts, gets all of the run. Sometimes one of them starts and gets a minimum amount of run. And we've seen games where it hasn't been Zeller or Biyombo who've gotten the run. One of them may have started, but Willie Hernan-Gomez is the biggest benefactor. So the center position's a mess. They're all, priced right around the same. 4,300 on FanDuel for Zeller, 4,000 for Hernan-Gomez, 3,600 for Biyombo. I really personally think that on a 3-game slate, playing any of those 3 guys is a decent play because 3-game slate. I think people will avoid that situation because of the uncertainty. But I think if you're going to play one, you might as well play all 3. Just build a different lineup with each one. That's kind of my take on that. But the main 3 guys were Rozier, Bridges, and Devontae Graham.
Yeah, on the Atlanta side of things, I think that there's 3 guys that you could definitely look at and feel pretty comfortable with. Obviously, Trae Young, easy play. John Collins, I think, is a pretty good play at 8,600. The other guy that I really like is Kevin Huerter. The guy's been playing well. He's playing a bulk load of minutes. He's been very productive. I think he's a guy that we can continue to look at, especially on this smaller slate. Outside of those 3 guys, I think there's a couple guys we can look at in GPP more, a little bit more dart plays. I think you could possibly look at DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish is both GPP plays. They're basically splitting minutes, and both have been somewhat productive. A little bit up and down though with the inconsistency in minutes. And last but not least, I like Dwayne Dedmon at 4,700 going against a Charlotte team that no matter who they put out there, they're a little bit more undersized at the center spot. I think this is a pretty good spot for Dedmon. He plays about 20 minutes a game, and he usually gets you about 21, 22 fantasy points. Definitely gives us a little bit of upside if he's going to play a little bit more minutes. So like I said, those 3 guys are GPP plays, and then the 3 cash game plays, or if, at least the better plays. I don't know if I'm really going to even play cash today, but I will say that better plays on the Atlanta side of things are Trae Young, Collins, and a waiter. Moving on, next game we're going to talk about, we got Milwaukee going into Denver to face the Nuggets. And man, you get the easy side of things, bro. Same story whenever Antetokounmpo's out.
My favorite play is not even one of the chalky guys because it's a 3-game slate. My favorite play is DiVincenzo. Yesterday the news came out that Giannis was going to miss at least 2 games. And yesterday DiVincenzo goes 28 minutes, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists for 36.4 fantasy points. And if you go back and look even before yesterday, this guy's been a solid player all year long. He kind of has, maybe a ceiling. I'd say this. He's got a ceiling and then he's got upside. I would say his ceiling is somewhere around 26, 27, but I would say that he's got an upside of as much as 40 to 45. And he had 41.9 against the Pacers in only 23 minutes back on March the 4th. They're really high on this guy, for one. Like, this guy was a guy who was a target of a lot of teams around the league at the trade deadline, and Milwaukee wouldn't even entertain moving this guy. That's how much they like him. So DiVincenzo, this guy, he's a really good college player. I think he's the under-the-radar play for 2 reasons. One, we know Middleton is going to be chalky. He has a higher usage rate than Bledsoe does when Giannis is out. Bledsoe will also be chalky. Brook Lopez will be chalky. Ilyasova will be chalky. But DiVincenzo, to me, is my favorite play for 2 reasons. One, the usage. Middleton has a higher usage rate. It's more known that Middleton is a go-to play, a chalky play when Giannis is out. And 2, people don't like to stack 2 people at the same position from the same team. So you're not going to see people load up Middleton and DiVincenzo usually, traditionally. But on a 3-game slate, I could see where that people may do it today. But because of those 2 reasons, he's my favorite play today on the Bucks team. He's playing solid. He's got a ton of upside. He's got a really nice shot. He gets you assists. He can get you a lot of rebounds because he's a bigger guard. And he'll get you steals and block shots as well. So DiVincenzo's my favorite play. Obviously, Middleton is chalky. He's an obvious play. Bledsoe's an obvious play. Brook Lopez is an obvious play. And I think on this slate, a lot of people will look at your boy Jokic, who I'm sure you're going to talk about next. But Brook Lopez at 5,100. Those are the 3 most popular guys. There's a little bit of uncertainty for me when it comes down to Ilyasova. It's been a smash spot for him, but can you count on it? You can't count on it. It's just it's going to be a popular play. The guy will be highly owned. To me, DiVincenzo's my favorite play. I'd say Middleton's number 2, and then Bledsoe and Brook Lopez after that.
Yeah, on the Denver side of things, I think there's some definitely plays here. I mean, I'm going to start with Jokic going against Brook Lopez, not a traditional center. Jokic actually was in this spot January 31st, and he had a really good game. The fantasy points didn't necessarily show for it. He only had 41 fantasy points, but the guy was 1 assist away from a triple-double. Imagine if a couple of his shots go down. He definitely could have really, really crushed that spot. So I like Jokic in this spot once again. Then I'm going to look at a couple more guys. Jamal Murray, 6,600. He's playing very well. The minutes are there for him. Will Barton, 5,300. I think that he's a guy that you can look at. He's coming in too cheap. We got him projected at almost a 6x price tag tonight. I definitely think Barton's a really good play. After that, man, there's 3 guys that I think that are more GPP plays. I mean, on a small slate like this, you definitely want to take some darts with them. I mean, I'm looking at guys like Paul Millsap or Jeremiah Grant. Those guys are basically splitting 22, 24 minutes a game, but in 22 to 24 minutes, both of those guys could definitely crush these lower price tags. I think you can look at them as GPP plays on this smaller slate. And then the guy that's kind of been picking it up lately is Gary Harris at 4,100. 3 straight games of at least 30 fantasy points. But a lot of his fantasy points are coming to the fact that he's really been getting after it on defense, and he's got you at least 2 steals in 3 straight games with the big 5-steal game against Cleveland. I really don't like depending on steals and stuff like that. So that's why I say he's more of a GPP play, even though he has been playing a little bit better. But I definitely think that you can get a little bit of exposure on the smaller slate for sure. Moving on, final game of the night, we got Toronto going into Utah to face the Jazz.
Kyle Lowry's too cheap, period, point blank, in the story. And I think that Jamal Murray in the game you just talked about, I think that he's a really good tournament play, and I think he'll be one of the lower-owned players. But Kyle Lowry also, I mean, Kyle Lowry, 7,300, back-to-back games of 50-plus fantasy points. In his last 7 games, he's had 3 of those games with at least 50 fantasy points, 56.9 in one of them, 55 last night in the game you were at against Sacramento. He's had at least 20 fantasy points in 20 regular points in 4 of the last 6 games. He's dishing it out. He's getting you at least 5 rebounds in each game, and 5 of his last 5 games. So this guy's playing at a really high level right now, and he's only $7,300 on FanDuel. It seems like he's just too cheap. His price has not caught up with his performance, and that's a buy low opportunity you want to take advantage of. On top of that, I think there's other guys that I do think you can look at here, but I will say this: it's a game at Utah. Utah is not the same team defensively they were in years past, but I don't like this spot for a lot of other guys on the Toronto side until I find out what Fred VanVleet's going to do. VanVleet, he remained out yesterday. He's missed 5 straight games with his shoulder injury. And we know that Norman Powell's a guy you can roll out as soon as VanVleet is out. So Terrence Davis, Norman Powell, Patrick McCaw, there's kind of 3 guys there that benefit from that. But it seems to me that the whole time this guy's been out, the biggest benefactor has been OG Anunoby. Anunoby's had a couple of monster games this season. He had a kind of a dud yesterday in 38 minutes, only 15 fantasy points. But look at the 5 games before that: 29 versus Milwaukee, 49 against Charlotte, 65 against Denver, 32 against Phoenix, and 27 against Golden State. So Anunoby is a guy that's flying under the radar, in my opinion. He's kind of outperforming Pascal Siakam. Siakam's playing decent, but as far as value goes, Anunoby's been a better value play. And that's really where I'm at. I'm not interested in getting into Ibaka and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson and that whole mess. Marc Gasol. I think Marc Gasol at 4,400. If we fit, he played 15 minutes yesterday. He's coming back from a long stint being out with an injury. I don't think that he's going to play very many minutes today on the second end of a back-to-back after coming back from an injury. We'll have to see if he gets ruled out or if, in fact, he's going to play. If we were to get word that he was going to play 20 minutes today at this price tag of 4,400, and maybe he wasn't going to start, but he was going to come off the bench and not be faced against Rudy Gobert, I think it'd be a really solid tournament play. But other than that, I'm really sticking with Lowry. I like Anunoby. It's a very easy situation to figure out if VanVleet is out, and that's really where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, on the Utah side, I think there's definitely a lot of guys that we can look at, especially on a smaller slate. We're looking to get guys that are going to come in lower owned, and I think there's definitely some guys on this Utah team. I'll start with their main guys first. Mike Conley, 5,600, coming in too cheap. I think he's in play, playing around 30 minutes a game. Donovan Mitchell at 7,200, another very fair price player. And then you got Rudy Gobert coming in at 8,400. I'm not really crazy about Rudy Gobert, especially with Marc Gasol going to be back. But, Marc Gasol is going to come off the bench. He's not going to be directly faced against him, the whole entire game. Serge Ibaka is a little bit smaller of a guy for kind of playing at the center spot. So I think Gobert could have a pretty decent game here. Outside of the 3 main guys that I mentioned, you can still look at a couple guys in GPPs like Royce O'Neal playing around 30 minutes. You got Bogdan Bogdanovic, score independent, but definitely still gives you upside if you're shooting the ball well. Even Joe Ingles, man, he's playing 24, 25 minutes off the bench. We got him projected at almost a 5.5x. At 4,200, just too cheap. And some of these guys we may not be talking about on a bigger slate, but on a smaller slate, we want to find those lower owned guys. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about Jordan Clarkson, 4,500. He's their 6th man coming off the bench. He's coming off the bench and he's just shooting the ball. They gave him the green light to kind of go out and get yours, be that scorer off the bench. And he has been a little bit underwhelming in a couple games recently. But, hey, somebody coming off the bench that's a little bit more of a score-independent kind of guard is going to have those up and down games. But I definitely still think he gives us a little bit of upside there. And that's really where I'm at, man. So, hey, man, if you guys want a more in-depth analysis on today's slate, make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. And, hey, good luck on your guys' contest tonight, all right? Peace out.